The Mandalorian and Grogu. Where do I even begin? A while back, I said that I wouldn't simply review Star Wars projects anymore, that reviews for me didn't feel meaningful enough to justify making a full video on when everyone else is doing it. But, considering this is the first Star Wars film since 2019, I thought I'd throw my hat in the ring for this movie. Since this movie hasn't come to streaming yet, there's not going to be a ton of shots of the actual movie or different scenes just because I can't actually get them. And there will be spoilers, though really, there's not much to actually spoil. I don't think I learned anything that I didn't know just by watching the trailers. So, is The Mandalorian and Grogu a good film? I'll spoil the premise of this video. Objectively, no. Character development is non-existent, stakes for any other project or even the movie itself really aren't there, and the actual filmmaking is just average. But I won't say I didn't enjoy it. I came out of the film happy. I definitely can watch a movie without needing to do any textual analysis. I thought Grogu was cute, Rada was a chill guy, Embo was tough, and I love the references, like when Zeb catches the Mandalorian in his U-Wing, referencing Battlefront 2. And there were certainly moments that felt impactful. I really liked when Rada had his whole speech about how people love him as a gladiator and how they respect him specifically, and then the second he's beaten, they call for his execution. That felt deep, that was emotional, because nobody really respected him, and they just loved him until someone better came along. This film overall felt exactly as I expected it to, and I purposely never watched any reviews of it before I saw it in theaters the Friday after it came out. The weirdest part for me was why the film needed to exist at all. When I was sitting in the theater, I remember thinking to myself, this movie almost feels like it's two parts of one project. We first have the whole arc of capturing Commander Janu Coin, and then the next act happens when the Mandalorian gets captured by Embo. These feel like arcs in a TV show, probably because The Mandalorian and Grogu was written to be a TV show for Disney Plus before it was adapted into a movie. The whole show just feels like a season of The Mandalorian, and it should have been just that. A criticism that I and many others have is that the movie jumped from fight scene to cute Grogu moment to fight scene, without any depth, and that's almost definitely due to the original TV script being adapted into a movie. I would bet money that all the character development, all the introductions for characters like Zeb, who many won't know, was cut so that the main plot points of the TV show script could exist. Because Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, and Noah Clore had planned for a much longer runtime for a full show that then was condensed down into a movie by them. I know the reason we got a movie is because the heads of Lucasfilm and, in extension, Disney wanted a way to bring back the broader appeal of Star Wars. And because Pedro Pascal has been slowly trying to do less and less of the Mandalorian character, but the fact that this is a film really hurt the film. Again, I want to stress that I did enjoy the movie, and as another season of The Mandalorian, it could have been really something. But looking back at it, after finishing the movie, again, just recently, what have we as a Star Wars community really gotten from this film that sets up anything for the broader universe? On my way to the movie, I did a quick voice memo covering everything I thought the movie had to do to prove the necessity of its own existence. Let me play that for you.
I think the show, for the main part, exists to set up Ahsoka Season 2 and the upcoming, well, I say upcoming, but probably 1 or 2 more years to go, movie for Heir to the Empire. It's an adaptation of an older Star Wars book, but it's going to feature Thrawn as the main villain. So I think it really exists to it should exist to set up the upcoming Star Wars projects that are going to have a lot bigger of an impact on the actual universe. And to do that, I think the main things it needs to do is set up the characters of the various Imperial warlords we saw in Mandalorian Season 3 and what their actual strengths are, how much military forces they have. Then next off, how strong the actual New Republic is, what their military forces looks like, and how they are dealing with the various warlords that we have been introduced to, and then I know are going to show up in this movie we're about to see. And then also how the New Republic, which is again the main government body at this time, is dealing with the various criminal syndicates that have popped up and are wreaking havoc among the galaxy at this time and have been for many years. Then finally, what I think they have to do for the characters of the Mandalorian himself and Grogu is I think it's actually a good idea if they, at the end of the movie, find a way to tie up the storylines of the Mandalorian and actually just get him to retire, because I think there's not a lot of stuff they have for him to do in the future. And so I think it would be good if this movie was able just to set up a nice resolution to his character arc.
So there were other stuff I talked about during the voice memo, but I think that's what I really think is the most important bit of that. And having now seen the movie, yeah, us Star Wars fans haven't really learned anything. Maybe that the New Republic has started to realize the threat of the Imperial Remnant, but we really haven't seen any of that. We saw two warlords in this movie, and they had no notable forces to their names, and really couldn't have done anything to shake the New Republic. And when we see these warlords, we should have seen officers with small armies and a small fleet, or one or the other, not just a couple AT-ATs and some troopers. The warlords in this film really don't feel like a threat like they should. This film exists, but it doesn't really do anything. I like to judge the existence of a film and shows by the metric of what would change without their existence. What do they add to whatever universe they are a part of? And I don't think The Mandalorian and Grogu has a reason to exist like any other Star Wars movie has, even if they weren't actually that good. And this being the first Star Wars movie since Rise of Skywalker, The Mandalorian arguably was the catalyst for our current era of Star Wars. Without it, we wouldn't have most of the projects we've seen recently, for better or worse. So, a case could be made that if any movie was to be made, it should go to The Mandalorian, the character who pretty much saved Star Wars. With the help of Baby Yoda, yeah. But Star Wars Starfighter should have been the first Star Wars movie in theaters. It stars Ryan Gosling, and it actually seems promising. There's a vision for the movie. There's a reason that the filmmakers created it and wanted it to be a movie. That will get hype for Dave Filoni's Heir to the Empire film, and Star Wars in general. Remember, we're all here trying to build to Dave Filoni's adaptation of Heir to the Empire. It's the equivalent of Endgame for Star Wars. Ahsoka's been building up to it, Mandalorian Season 3 built up to it. It is going to be really probably the biggest thing Star Wars has. So, a film like Starfighter might have actually been able to bring up the hype a little bit for Star Wars films after Rise of Skywalker. But now, I wonder if The Mandalorian and Grogu might have forever tainted the brand's image. Because Star Wars shouldn't just be a place of fan service and cute moments, it needs story and depth. Especially for the first movie in 7 years. And really, all The Mandalorian and Grogu is fan service, action, and cute moments. Not a lot else. Please tell me your thoughts on the movie below, and if you want to join my Discord server, the link is down below in the description. Consider subscribing. Have a nice day, and I will see you in the next one.